is Danelle Dautrieve-Sanford, also known as Nurse Danielle, and I'm a graduate of San Diego State University.
My name is Lijah Sanford. I graduated from Georgia State University.
And we're going to have a comparison of the difference in taking our RN test over a 30-year period. We're going to do old school versus new school. So we'll go on to a couple areas, and we're going to go over 7 areas. The first area is support from this local school. Second is the application process. Third is preparation. And then the fourth is the actual test day. Fifth is the results. How did we get our results? Number 6 is working before we received our RN license. And number 7 is continuing education. So we're going to start, I'll start off with number 1, support from the school. We didn't have computers then, so everything was pretty much on paper. They gave us a list of places to go prepare, and they gave us some book preparation ideas. It was pretty minimal, and then they told us where to apply for our Board of Nursing. What about you?
With us, they gave us a program. A lot of it was online through this, what was it? It was through a program called Kaplan Nursing. It's basically supposed to imitate what it's like taking the NCLEX, same question style, same time limit, all that stuff is supposed to simulate like you're trying to pass the NCLEX. Only thing was, I didn't really like Kaplan that much. I barely used it. I only used it because most of our assignments were on there.
All right.
Yeah.
And I just remember doing a lot of paper stuff. All right. So number 2 is the actual application process to applying to sit the state board, which is called the NCLEX. I remember it being all on paper, and I remember doing a lot of cashier checks and money orders, and we didn't have anything online, so it was all with U.S. Postal Service. So you had to send a certified letter with return receipt. The school had to send something saying you were actually eligible to sit the boards. I remember that being a big deal, and I remember that the school had to be accredited with NLN. So that was a big deal, and if the school was not accredited, you wouldn't be eligible to take the state board. And I remember the school also suggesting that we get at least 10 transcripts just in case the board asked for a hard copy of our transcript. But I believe the school sent everything we needed.
With us, the school did their part, making sure that they have all the information that they need as far as the transcript, verifying that we took all the classes necessary and we actually graduated and all that stuff. And then other than that, it was mostly like online. I sent them my information, like legal information and stuff, and then paid for it. Got a receipt and a test date.
All right.
Real easy.
And so we'll move on to the preparation. How did I prepare for the test, and how did Lijah prepare for the test? Now with myself, everything was on paper. We got practice tests and booklets, and we took an all-day class. I remember going to a hotel and taking an all-day class, and what they went over wasn't so much what was in nursing school, but test-taking strategy. Process of elimination, what's the best answer, because it's going to not be what is the right answer, it's going to be what is the best answer. So it's like, what is the orangest orange? What is the best orange? Everything's orange, but what's the best orange? That's the only way I could describe it, critical thinking. And I did practice tests, and it was all paper practice. It wasn't anything on the computer. I know, everything was paper.
Yeah. With me, who was it? It was Kaplan Nursing, because that's the program that we were using. So the people who made the Kaplan Nursing application that we were using in our class, they came by the school to have like a one-day test prep class. So we went through that, and then after that it was basically just on our own. I actually got an app called UWorld. It's basically what everybody uses now for the NCLEX. So I didn't use any paper. I just used my phone. I walked around doing test questions throughout the day. I think I did maybe like 100 questions a day. And then other than that, I had someone at my job who sent me something from Murse. So it was basically like the Murse recordings. So I would just listen to that throughout the day as well. So most of my stuff came from my phone. I was just relaxing, walking in the park.
That is crazy. Everything was on paper.
Walking around, that's it.
Ugh.
I was just like this.
It's so annoying. All right, so we're gonna move on to the actual test day. Now this is gonna be a big difference. 30 years ago, all the test was completely on paper. It was 2 days. And I remember taking the test in Los Angeles near the Coliseum. It was complete paper test, number 2 pencils. You had proctors walking around. Actually had someone run away with one of the tests on day 1. So imagine sitting and preparing for a test, and right before they called time for us to start, somebody broke and ran and took off with one of the tests. So they had to collect all the tests. They had to escort us out the rooms, collect the test, try and chase the person down who was already gone. There was a car waiting out there. Yeah, that was on the first day. So imagine being that stressed out and have somebody run away. So we had to start all over again. And then I just remember somebody behind me just erasing the whole time, just erasing and adding, and erasing and adding, and erasing and adding. So that was day 1. And it was all critical thinking. And once I saw that, I just went out shopping after that. And then I had to come back the next day for day 2. And by that time, I'm just like, it's maintain respiratory function. What's the best answer? Critical thinking. I didn't care at that point because I could already see that first day. It was just critical thinking and test strategy. Maintain respiratory function. And so, yeah, it was pretty interesting. In addition to having that person run away on the first day, that was pretty much it. And we were allowed to have number 2 pencils and a secondhand watch. And we had to put all our things up under the chair, and there were people walking around. And then they just called time. They'd collect the test, and then you'd have to escort out. And we had numbers and things like that. It's crazy. All right, what about your test day?
My test day, it was like going to jail. So basically, we went into the place, right, where we're taking the exam. We had to empty out our pockets, everything out. Nothing, no watch, no phone, no wallet, none of that. The only thing we brought back there was our ID. So before we could even get to the test exam area, we had to take a picture and then actually have like our fingerprint scanned. So after that, it was like I just remember it was a long hallway. It was like turning and all this stuff. So after you had just taken your picture and putting your fingerprint in there, and you have your ID in your hand, you have to go around this hallway, right? And then there's another person. So they're there to verify that you're the actual person that just took your picture and put your fingerprint down. So they have to look at your ID, look at your face, look at the picture that was just taken of you, and then you have to put your fingerprint in there to make sure that is you. This is literally maybe 30 feet apart from each other, just this tiny little hallway. After that, they escort you to a chair. I think I was the first person in there, either that or there was like a person in there from the previous exam time who was still there kind of taking their time with it. But I remember there was cameras over every little cubby. So the person that literally just verified that you were you, they had a monitor with everybody, like every cubby, so that it was looking down. So in case you had something like your pocket or something, you wouldn't be able to use it to cheat because there's cameras actually just everywhere in the room. So not only that, but there's someone walking around too. But when you sit down in your cubby, they give you these earmuffs to like block out the sound or whatever in case you're one of those people that really need to concentrate. I don't think I used it. I just left it there. But you sit down in your chair and then that's when the exam starts. I remember a lot of people telling me that, you know, if you finish at 60, no, when you get to question 60 and it stops, that means you pass the exam. So I get to 59, I'm thinking, okay, this is the one that's gonna make me or break me. So I answered the 60th question and then I see 61, I'm like, man, I'm about to fail. But the questions just keep going. I got all the way up to question 130 and then the test, it just went blue. It just went blue and blank screen. After that, they have these test questions to see if they're good questions to put in the next year's quiz. What is it?
NCLEX?
Yeah, next year's NCLEX.
Yes.
I decided just not to do that. I didn't feel like doing any of that. So after I get out, you know, felt the air and all that stuff. So my anxiety was just already up. And it was already bad because the day of the exam, it was raining, it was gray. I'm thinking, man, this is a bad sign to take a test. But after I left, it was, you know, sunshine and all that stuff. So
it was a beautiful day for me.
Yeah.
And the man ran out, or woman, I can't remember if it was male or female, ran with that test, and the door opened at the Coliseum, and I could just see the sunbeams as that person ran and jumped into that car.
I just remember thinking, what just happened? That's all I remember.
Yeah, it's just like having your whole brain wrung out. With
I didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
The rest of the
just
day.
Like, don't talk to me. Don't, just don't. All right, so number 5 is how did I get the results, or how did we get the results? Again, mine was in the mail. We didn't get anything in the computer. So what we had to do, either if you got a thin letter, you would get a thin letter with your name, and it said Danelle, at the time, Dautrieve RN. So thank goodness I got that thin letter, and that's how I knew I passed. If you did not pass, you would get a thick letter so you could reapply to retake the test. So it was just basically getting that thin letter and you see RN. And it wasn't like you found out 2 days later. It could be 2 to 3 weeks before you got the results. So you're just walking around crazy, freaked out for 2 weeks. Yeah, that wasn't fun.
With me, it was, okay, so there's this little trick called the Pearson view trick. I believe that's what it's called. So what you do is after you take your NCLEX test, you know you passed if you try and apply again through Pearson, because that's the people who hold the exam now. So you try and apply. If you can actually apply, that means you failed. But if you can't apply and it's like, you know, like a blank screen or something, like it can't process or something like that after you try and pay, that means you passed. So I did that. I wasn't able to pay for it, so I was like, I don't know. I feel like I failed the test still. So I didn't even get like a congratulations email. The first sign that I passed was someone from the board of nursing emailing me like, hey, give me your information or something like that. I'm like, huh? So they was like, yeah, give us your information, driver's license, this, that. And then within a day, I had my stuff ready.
So you didn't even get a congratulatory?
No, I got an email asking for information. That was like 3
That
days.
was enough.
That was 3 days after.
Well, 3
the
days.
exam.
That's all good. All that mattered is you passed. All right. And so the next thing we're talking about is the 6th item is working before receiving the license. Now, 30 years ago, it was pretty much expected to work in medical surgical. There wasn't any option. So things are very different now. you had to do 1 year of medical surgery regardless of what your emphasis was. Now, I did have a classmate that was able to leverage into the nursery, but that was because she was bilingual. So, but I worked on a med surgical floor before I changed into my field. I worked in geriatrics, then I ended up in public health, and then I ended up being a consultant. So, but that first year, it was on a med surg floor. And that was pretty much the expectation. You worked as a graduate nurse, you had a certain salary, and then once I got the license, they raised my salary up, and in addition, I got the evening shift differential, holiday pay, and so on. So that pretty much was my journey.
Before I graduated and took the exam and all that stuff, I got hired on a med surg floor as a nurse extern. So I was basically doing, I guess, like CNA, PCT stuff until I graduated, and then they bumped my pay up. And then after I passed the nursing exam, they started me at the normal baseline nurse salary, even though I was still doing like PCT stuff, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, that's where I'm working now, med surg. It's cool, you know.
Right. And I didn't do any kind of externship before I graduated. I pretty much started working after I got my degree. So that's the difference between you and I. You actually started working before your degree was confirmed. And I think that that's actually a good idea, to be able to do it before your degree is conferred.
It's a guaranteed job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the last thing we're going to talk about is continuing education. With me, right after I graduated, the first time I renewed, I believe there was some waiver related to the curriculum with school. But thereafter, it was every 2 years, and it would be 30 hours of continuing education. The first place that I got my license, they required 30 hours. And then I got a license endorsement to another state, so I'm currently licensed in 2 states. And one of the licenses I have has an option where you can be like multi-state. So you could be, when you renew, you can do a multi-state license option. But I personally kept the original license because sometimes you might be able to work as a consultant or do a remote job based on that license you have. So if you have a license in California or New York or like Texas or Florida, primarily in New York and California, those licenses are golden. So if you get one of those, myself personally, I would try and keep it, but that's just me.
My job, well, now with the license, I don't believe it's necessary to do the continuing education.
Yeah, it's not with you. I actually researched it. I looked at it when you were talking.
I don't have to.
I was questioning
because I'm working on the floor.
I pulled it up for. That's the difference. You told me.
Yeah.
And then you said it was a piece of paper.
Yeah, I just had to get a piece of paper saying I worked on the floor for, I believe it's 500 hours.
Right.
At least 500 hours. And then they'll translate that over to CEUs or whatever. But yeah, that's all I have to do, just hand me a piece of paper. I'm
more of a paper pusher. I'm just a paper pusher. Some people might call it a delicate job compared to working on the floor, but 30 hours of continuing education, and I have used the same CEU provider since I graduated from college. So I normally just purchase a book, read it, and then I upload it to, they call it CE Broker, which is who keeps track of all the continuing education where I'm licensed at. So that's pretty much it.
I just have to hand in a sheet of paper saying
You're probably gonna have to upload it to CE Broker too when that time comes.
Well, just a piece of paper.
Yeah,
just
upload it. So
one little sheet.
All right. Well, that's anything else to add?
Mm-mm.
All right, so that's it. You can Thank you for watching, and we wish you much success if you are currently in nursing school or if you're about to take your NCLEX exam. You can reach me on social media under the name Danelle Dautrieve-Sanford, under LinkedIn, on Twitter. I am on Facebook under the name Nurse Danelle, that is Danelle. And on YouTube, I'm also under the name Danelle Dautrieve-Sanford, but you need to type in the search engine Danelle Sanford Immunization. Any of your social media, you're good?
I'm good.
All right, I think that's it, and wishing everyone much success. Bye.